Have you ever watched a movie or TV show featuring a member of the Inuit people wearing a thick fur coat while standing in front of a house built entirely out of snow? If so, you've probably wondered the same thing that crosses almost everyone's mind. How can someone possibly live inside a house made of snow? The Arctic is one of the harshest environments on our planet, and snow is cold by nature. So how can a house built from snow keep the people inside warm? At first glance, it may seem completely illogical, but the truth is, it makes perfect sense. These snow houses are not something invented for cartoons or fantasy movies. They are real structures that have been built and used by the indigenous people of the Arctic for centuries. These snow shelters, known as igloos, still exist today, and some Arctic communities continue to build them whenever conditions require. So in this video, we'll answer one fascinating question. How can an igloo stay warm inside when it's made entirely of snow? But before we begin, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a new video. The Arctic region is one of the harshest environments on our planet, stretching from the northern coasts of North America all the way to northeastern Siberia. It is a land dominated by freezing temperatures, fierce winds, and endless snow. Yet, despite these extreme conditions, one remarkable people have managed to survive there for thousands of years: the Inuit. Over countless generations, they have adapted perfectly to life in the Arctic and have never wanted to abandon their homeland, despite the absence of modern cities, infrastructure, and many of the conveniences most of us take for granted. Instead, they have learned to thrive in a world of snow and ice. Before we continue, it's worth mentioning something important. Many people still use the word Eskimo, but today, many members of these communities consider the term outdated or even offensive. The origin of the word is disputed, and it has long been associated with negative meanings, including the misconception that it refers to people who eat raw meat. For this reason, they generally prefer to be called Inuit, a word that simply means the people in their own language. However, throughout this video, we'll occasionally use the word Eskimo simply because it remains familiar to many viewers. The Inuit live in regions where winter temperatures can fall to -50 degrees Celsius, -58 degrees Fahrenheit, or even lower. Naturally, anyone living in such an environment needs a safe shelter, whether built from bricks, wood, or metal. Unfortunately, the Arctic offers almost none of these building materials. Trees are extremely scarce, forests are virtually non-existent, and transporting construction materials across the frozen landscape has always been incredibly difficult. As a result, the Inuit learned to build their homes using the one material that was available everywhere around them: snow. For thousands of years, they have constructed dome-shaped snow shelters known as igloos. But this brings us back to the original question. How can an igloo stay warm inside when it's made entirely of snow? The truth is that from a physics standpoint, snow can actually help keep you warm. In fact, it can preserve your body heat remarkably well. To understand this seemingly strange idea, let's begin with a fascinating animal known as the sea otter. Sea otters spend much of their lives in freezing ocean waters, where they hunt fish, shellfish, and other marine creatures. Yet, unlike whales and seals, they do not possess a thick layer of blubber to protect them from the cold. So, how do they stay warm? The answer lies in something surprisingly simple: air. Sea otters have the densest fur of any mammal on Earth. Their fur is made up of millions of extremely fine hairs that trap countless tiny pockets of air close to their skin. Since air is an excellent thermal insulator, these trapped air pockets dramatically reduce heat loss, preventing the otter's body warmth from escaping into the icy water. As a result, sea otters can survive in freezing temperatures without suffering from the cold. Now, you might be wondering, that's interesting, but what does a sea otter have to do with igloos? The connection is actually quite simple. The real secret is air. If snow contains a large amount of trapped air, it becomes an excellent insulating material. Instead of allowing heat to escape, it slows down the transfer of heat, keeping the interior much warmer than the environment outside. This is precisely where the Inuits' extraordinary knowledge comes into play. To them, snow is much more than frozen water. They have spent thousands of years studying its characteristics and understanding how different types of snow behave under different conditions. Suppose someone asks you, "How many kinds of snow do you know?" Most people would probably answer, "What do you mean? Snow is just snow. Are there really different kinds?" The answer is yes. The Inuit language contains numerous words describing different kinds of snow, each referring to its texture, density, condition, or suitability for a specific purpose. This rich vocabulary reflects the importance of snow in their daily lives. Living in the Arctic requires an intimate understanding of its many forms. One particular type of snow is especially valuable for construction. This compact, wind-packed snow consists of about 10% ice and 90% trapped air. Although it is firm enough to be cut into large blocks capable of supporting the weight of an igloo, it also contains an enormous amount of trapped air. And because air is such an effective insulator, these snow blocks greatly reduce the transfer of heat through the walls. In other words, an igloo doesn't generate heat, it keeps heat from escaping, much like a high-quality thermos bottle. The warmth produced by the occupants' bodies or by a small fire or oil lamp remains trapped inside, while the freezing Arctic air stays outside. Another fascinating feature of an igloo is its carefully designed interior. The floor is not completely flat. Instead, the inside of the shelter is built on several different levels, each serving a specific purpose. The entrance tunnel is deliberately constructed lower than the main living area. Above it is a slightly higher level, where everyday activities like cooking or lighting a small fire traditionally take place. The highest level is reserved for sleeping. This arrangement is far from accidental. It's based on a simple principle of physics. Warm air rises, while cold air sinks. As a result, most of the heat generated inside the igloo naturally rises towards the upper sleeping platform, where the occupants spend the night. Meanwhile, the heavier, colder air settles in the lower entrance tunnel, acting almost like a cold air trap that prevents much of the freezing Arctic air from reaching the living area. Combined with the highly insulating snow walls, this clever design allows the igloo to retain a surprising amount of warmth. Inside, temperatures can reach 10 to 15 degrees Celsius, 50 to 59 degrees Fahrenheit, even when the temperature outside drops to minus 50 degrees Celsius, minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit. Although that may still sound cold, it represents a difference of more than 60 degrees, making the inside of the shelter dramatically more comfortable than the world outside. Experienced Inuit builders can construct a small igloo in as little as 3 hours. Larger igloos designed to accommodate an entire family may require 2 days or more to complete. What is truly remarkable is that despite centuries of advancements in engineering and construction techniques, no one has discovered a more efficient traditional design than the one developed by the Inuit themselves. The dome-shaped structure is exceptionally strong. Its spiral arrangement of snow blocks distributes weight evenly throughout the structure while minimizing weak points. From an engineering perspective, a dome is one of the most stable architectural forms ever created. Instead of concentrating forces at specific locations, it spreads the load uniformly across the entire structure and transfers it safely to the ground. This makes the igloo highly resistant to heavy snow, powerful winds, and Arctic storms. So, how can a house made entirely of snow keep people warm? The answer is surprisingly simple. Snow itself is not the source of warmth. Rather, it's the large amount of air trapped inside the snow that provides outstanding thermal insulation, preventing precious heat from escaping. When this natural insulation is combined with the ingenious design of the igloo, the result is a shelter capable of protecting its occupants from one of the harshest climates on Earth. Sometimes, the greatest engineering solutions aren't built from steel or concrete. They're built from snow. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to leave a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel for more fascinating scientific stories and explanations. And if there's a question you've always wondered about, leave it in the comments below. It might become the topic of our next video. Until next time, thanks for watching.